HS2 is predicted to be carbon neutral within 120 years. In 120 years' time, it will be too late to be carbon neutral. In 120 years' time, it will be too late for us to stand and say, oh yes, look at this train line. Look how efficient it is. In 120 years' time, when there are no woodlands left for our children to walk around and to play in, to climb trees, it will be too late. And the new woodlands that they're planting, I've seen them. They're these little saplings that are placed 50 centimetres apart from each other. They are not getting water, and they are being placed in incorrect places. HS2 ecologists do not understand the soil compositions and the water levels required for these woodlands to grow. They do not understand the fungal networks that maintain resources and what are they called? Mycelium, that's it. Mycelium networks. Fuck HS2.
Guys, can you all put your masks on, start social distancing as much as possible, please. As you can see, the police have decided to come into the road, so I want to protect you because I want to protect life, and I care for everyone here today. So please be mindful of what the police are doing, and the Boris the Bank engine will be leaving the station shortly if you'd like to go on that ride. And don't forget there's also a march happening at the same time right now for climate justice going from the Bank of England. So if you wanted to join that, that's also encouraged. And we have 3 brave protectors here that I'm going to hang out with right now. If you'd like to join me, that's great. Can people sing, please, now? What we're going to sing? Power to the people.
Power to the people.
People got the power.
People got the power.
Tell me, can you hear it?
Tell me, can you hear it?
Getting stronger by the hour.
Getting stronger by the hour.
Power.
Power.
People.
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 Power.
Power.
Power to the people.
Power to the people.
People got the power.
People got the power.
Tell me, can you hear it?
Tell me, can you hear it?
Getting stronger by the hour.
Getting stronger by the hour.
Power.
Power.
People.
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 Power.
Power.
Power to the people.
Power to the people.
People got the power.
People got the power.
Tell me, can you hear it?
Tell me, can you hear it?
Getting stronger by the hour.
Getting stronger by the hour.
Power.
Power.
People.
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 Power.
Power.
Power to the people.
Power to the people.
People got the power.
People got the power.
Tell me, can you hear it?
Tell me, can you hear it?
Getting stronger by the hour.
Getting stronger by the hour.
Power.
Power.
People.
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 Power.
Power.
Power to the people.
Power to the people.
People got the power.
People got the power.
Tell me, can you hear it?
Tell me, can you hear it?
Getting stronger by the hour.
Getting stronger by the hour.
Power.
Thank you everybody for tuning into this stream today. It's been absolutely fantastic action. It's really come off surprisingly well, considering it's a bit of a shambles at first. We've got our rebels glued on. We sprayed the building. Fuck HS2, and this has been an absolutely brilliant rally here. Remember, at home there's so much you can do. Please, I'm desperate. Please come and join our protection camp. We will teach you stuff as well. It's not a one-way thing. You put some energy into our campaign, and we'll put energy into you too. There will be more streams. I encourage people to check out what's happening at the Bank of England right now. I'm hoping to head over there myself as well. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Make sure to donate to our crowdfunders, to our camp crowdfunder and our action crowdfunder. Please share the
anyway, I think we're going to get through this crisis. Here's the... Can I pass it round if anybody's interested? And if you've got any questions, that okay, so this is the first time we've used this sort of amplifier. So the second time we used it yesterday, didn't we? So we are members of the Citizens Assembly Advocate Network in Wales, CARN, and members of the Citizens Assembly Working Group, CAWG, Cymru, pronounced CORG UK. So it's the same sort of group, but different pronunciations. And we're going to be here for 45 minutes talking to you about why we believe this is such an important topic and helping you understand the difference between citizens' assemblies and people's assemblies. And there's another type of democratic structure called citizens' juries. So I'll let Sue introduce herself, and then we'll get quick introductions from you all, if I may.
So I'm Sue, I'm also in Wrexham XR, and also
against the Met after their very heavy-handed actions on Lambeth Bridge last night.
Yeah, they're just trying to stop us from trying to save things, that's all.
I know, try and protect this beautiful wildlife we are. And if you don't know already, so today's the day that HS2 actually officially started work. So they actually started breaking the ground. All the work for the last 10 years has only been enabling, and it's been chopping down ancient woodlands.
Because when we're in stressful situations, sometimes we forget our feet are on the ground and the Mother Earth is holding us, holding our experience, holding our hearts, holding our minds. We are all held by Mother Nature. Mother, I hear you under my feet. Mother, I hear your heart. Mother, I hear you under my feet. Mother, I hear your heartbeat. Hey, yeah,
So we've
hey,
got really
yeah,
beautiful
hey,
scenes here
yeah.
outside
Here
the
in the
Department of Transport here.
The speeches are
And
about
we've
to
got
start.
some beautiful poo carts here. So if you don't know, the enabling works have started on HS2 today. It's a really massive destructive process. But it's basically carving its way, and you think, oh well, maybe a railway is carbon friendly and it's going to be an ecological way to travel, but it's actually just a vanity project. It really is just actually an extension of the motorway, because its main purpose is actually to get people to and from Birmingham and London so much quicker, so they can actually just save a bit of time on their journeys. It doesn't actually help normal people, it's not normal public transport, it's mainly just going to serve wealthy businessmen.
Excuse me, sir, you're live on
So
Facebook.
originally, when it was starting, it was supposed to cost 32 million.
Can you move this way? Go that way.
It's again that way, thank you. Just coming out of the road here because there's obviously cars needing to get through. So originally the budget for HS2 was 32 billion. That was 10 years ago. Since then they've reduced the length of the track that it's actually going to be going on. So they reduced the amount of track that it's going to be going on, so it's no longer going to be serving quite as much as the UK, and the budget has gone up massively. A few months ago it was already up to 80 billion. A couple of weeks ago it was up to 100 billion. Now the official figures are that it's going to cost 106 billion. And it's not going to be even carbon neutral for at least 120 years. And our current rate, we all think back to the publication of the CCC report, so we're already on track to actually reach 4 degrees of warming.
Places in the world where people just do not have
Post-industrial revolution.
Some of the people we're here to march for today.
So post-industrial revolution, we've actually already done about just over 1 degree of warming, and it was meant to be catastrophic changes really start to happen to our whole climate once we reach that 1.5 degrees. And 1.5 degrees is that real tipping point, and that's when we start to activate a lot of the feedback loops. So we've got a few rebels sat in the road here showing solidarity.
There's no need to use those to evacuate. They have no desire for such things.
So in the blue there, we've just got the police liaison talking to some of the rebels on the streets. So in the use the language here. So in the pink vest, that's actually one of our marshals that help keeps everybody safe during the actions.
Soon I will be done. Hi, sorry. Soon I will be done with the troubles of the world.
And look, we've actually got somebody who's probably far better with a camera than me. There we go. You can watch someone doing a proper interview on a proper camera. Maybe I can get some tips while I'm doing this. So I'm just going to show you how the people who are glued on at the moment are getting on.
Thank you so much for coming. Have a great
Because we're in a climate ecological emergency. And instead of acting as if it was an emergency, like we have seen the world reacting with COVID-19, we are still waiting and we are still destroying ancient woodland, like what's happening in HS2. Like, I don't know, how many is it? 100?
There's over 100 woodlands.
100 woodlands, ancient woodland. That's like the grandparents of every one of us. It's amazing the amount of carbon that they can absorb, plus the ecosystems, the amount of homes that they are for all sorts of animals. And it doesn't make any sense, does it? Plus the economical impact that that's having in the middle of a recession, it's a complete nonsense. And it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart so deeply. I'm scared to be here. I'm more scared for what is happening.
So what have you guys done? What are you doing here? Where are you?
We're glued on.
So you've glued yourselves outside the Department of Transport. And what message, what does that say? What are you communicating?
Well, I think loads of people have written to their MPs, loads of people have done petitions, there's been some high profile, people like asking the government to rethink this strategy. And in particular after COVID, when we know that the country's in recession, this project is going to cost an escalation of £100 billion. We wouldn't be in recession if we didn't have this project. And yet, in my city there are so many homeless people, there's so much poverty, and it needn't be, if we just really thought about it. It's actually COVID's taught us that we can have meetings on Zoom. We don't even need to have a shuttle service to an airport for business people to fly. We can rethink how we communicate. So that's like a social justice issue that we've got to think about. Then there's the ecological justice issue, the fact that 1 in 4 British mammals are going to go, they're at risk of extinction, and yet we're wiping out those habitats, we're wiping out valuable farmland, when we know that we're 30 to 40 years away from soil infertility in the UK, as Michael Gove himself, when he was Environment Secretary, told us a few years ago. We know that we're way over our carbon budget, 420 particles, we're supposed to be 350. We need carbon capture machines. They're called trees. We need to protect our trees. Because the carbon offset of planting little baby trees that are happening in, these summers where we're having droughts. These baby trees are dying, and yet actually it's going to take them so many years to actually be effective. So I'm actually thinking about my future. I'm thinking about the future of my children, and I'm thinking about the future of my community. I'm a nurse, and I think not only is this an ecological crisis, it's a health emergency too.
But how does gluing yourself to the Department of Transport help?
I think you're here. I think the thing is, this building behind us is responsible for the funding of this project, so it's very symbolic of that happening. And, so me being here is just, this is the last desperate attempt. I speak to so many people, who, from all walks of life, who all say, like, HS2 is insane, and yet, for some reason the government isn't listening, or, for some reason it's just full steam ahead, and we feel we don't have any power, and actually people do have power, we have a voice, but unfortunately, you can get 1 million people marching in London, and nothing happens, and it's, nothing is ever listened to, and yet you come here and somebody sprinkles a little bit of fake blood, and some people glue themselves in the pavement, and now I've got a voice, I'm a little bit shy and I'm a little bit scared, and I really don't want to be here because, but, it needs to be said, and I guess somebody has to say it.
So yeah, just to recap on today's action, we came to the Viridor incineration plant. We arrived here very early in the morning. It must have been about 6 in the morning, and we had 8 rebels lock on the entrance and exit way for the waste trucks. And this is a plant that was heavily opposed by local residents, businesses, and climate activists before it was built. Unfortunately, they failed. And there's another company that's trying to get approval to build a £150 million incinerator plant in a deprived area in the east of Cardiff, one of the most deprived areas of Cardiff, with one of the worst levels of air pollution in the UK. And they're planning on building it only 750 metres away from a high school. And this high school, to give you an idea of the levels of deprivation, over half of the students in the high school are on free school meal plans. And this is where social justice crosses with climate justice, is we expect those people in the most deprived areas to breathe in the worst air. And these companies make millions and millions and millions of pounds from burning our waste. And so these companies rely on us buying waste so they can make profit. And if we keep on allowing companies to produce this waste, we're just allowing a system to exist.
To something else in a second, but are you able to just talk a little bit about your experiences actually being on the camp and when you've actually been staying at trees? Are you okay to talk on that for us a moment, please?
Yeah, I'm absolutely fine to talk about that.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
So I joined back at the beginning of May. I was fed up of sitting on the sidelines. I'd seen some live streams from Extinction Rebellion. That's what I normally do. I go and live stream actions, and I thought, you know what? I'm doing nothing better right now with coronavirus on. I'm going to go and help. And yeah, I think it's been an extremely positive experience for me. The sense of community on the camps is incredible. Each individual one has its own identity. They're all organised essentially on kind of like anarcho principles. So we self-organise. People do what they can. They know what needs to be done, and we get stuff done. And we, I think, are pretty good at direct action. I've noticed a real high level of skill amongst the activists there, and if you come to the camps, you can learn some incredible things. You can learn how to climb trees, you can learn how to take part in loads of different kinds of non-violent direct action. I feel like it's kind of almost like the next step from joining Extinction Rebellion is this. It's going to be so handy in the next few years, because big destructive ecocidal projects like the Boris and the government are going to continue to progress with those. So we're going to have to stop HS2, we're going to have to stop the road building, we're probably going to have to stop more, and the only way to do that is to go and sit, physically strap yourself to stuff, lock yourself to stuff, get in the trees, get on buildings, do direct action. It's the only thing that's worked, it's the only thing that's ever worked. That's it.
Okay, thank you so much for speaking to us. That was Miles. Thank you so much.
MARS.
Oh, MARS. Oh, I've heard your name, so thank you so much. So. If she's now been arrested, I'll see if we can find out a bit more on what's that. The police seem to be really limiting our access here, but I'll move along and see what I can show you. That's quite funny. I was just walking along carefully and I just got pushed. It was actually by somebody of the BBC. So obviously they actually think their job, where they tell a different side of the truth because they don't fully tell the truth, they actually think they're okay to just barge me out the way because their job is somehow more important. But I have a lot of respect for the BBC, but given that they're not telling the truth on climate change and the climate and ecological crisis that we're currently in, it is funny to get pushed out the way.
Spatial distance. Give yourself some space.
So they're now just in the van, just being shut away. So they've obviously just been arrested, those brave rebels who were sat in the road just before. Now, there was actually a mass arrest, which there's already a judicial review being launched about, because the police decided to actually kettle in 200 rebels who were actually just on a demonstration bike ride. They were never stopped, they were never blocking any roads, they were just on a bike ride, but they were actually kettled in as a mass arrest, and that was over 200 of them, and that's actually included people from our first aid team, our wellbeing team, and also our independent legal observers who were there as well. So none of those people are actually directly acting as part of the actions. You may recall last year that the Met were taken to the High Court by lawyers for Extinction Rebellion, and where they'd actually found that they'd actually acted unlawfully as well. So that was under a judicial review. So it's a shame when we actually have organisations like the Met which are acting unlawfully. They should be the people which are protecting all of us. But actually, something that feels very strongly for myself is about the social contract. But if we pay our taxes and we obey the laws of this country, then that's part of our social contract. But with that, we also expect the British government to actually look after us and respect us. So when they're failing to do that, if you only have to look at things like on air pollution, so they're no longer protecting us, then they're broken their part of the social contract. Now, I'm a law-abiding citizen. I've never been in any trouble in the courts or with the police. I pay all my taxes. I'm an electrical engineer, so I have a good job. I've taken a week of my paid annual leave to be here this week. I'm not an uncooperative crusty. I'm not some hemp-smelling hippie or whatever we often get called. And as part of working with XR, it is amazing who you work with. I'm frequently working with people. I'm blown away by the level of skills and commitment, dedication. We're talking people who are professional sound engineers, who are, working for some of the biggest artists in the world. Obviously, that's all down at the moment with the global pandemic that we've had. But also talking about architects and lawyers and doctors. XR doctors are absolutely awesome. So we actually have a massive group of XR scientists as well. So lots of different professions, but everybody from younger people. I've seen babies and young children here, mothers with their toddlers, right up to elderly people. We actually had an awesome rebel, I believe from Sussex, who was 93, and it was not his first time he was arrested, but he was actually arrested the other day. So I'll just show you what we've actually got on the street here as well. There's just some of the... You can see some people have actually lay down on the floor and their bodies have been chalk sprayed on the floor. And if we just come down, you'll actually see the climate crime scene. So it's actually showing how we're actually outside the Department of Transport, which actually...
Well, I think it would be good to mark that.
Well, thank you, Dan Smith, for saying go get a job. I'm not sure if you just heard me say, but I'm actually an electrical engineer. I've taken a week's annual leave to do this. So yes, you might find that quite interesting, but there's plenty of people here who actually all work full time. And there's people from young people and students who have broken up for the summer who are here, and retired people, but there's a lot of professional people here as well. So I came down with my friends David and Christine the other day. They left just a day or so ago because Christine was going back to work. So she's recently started a new role, only able to take limited time off. So we're actually, there's no need to give comments about getting a job. And thank you, Derek Ross there. That's an absolutely amazing comment. Just saying that there's no jobs if there's no planet. So we can actually see just here where some of the fake bud was being cleared up.
Massive shout out to all those campaigners who are campaigning tirelessly against it. Not only are they planning the CF3 incinerator, they're also planning a biomass generator down on Rover Way. We can't allow that to happen. We can't allow them to forget about the climate emergency that they announced just a short time ago, and they need to act and sign the CEE bill. And massive love to you all.
Hi everyone, just echoing exactly what, a lot of what Gareth has just said. And yeah, just to remind everyone, we're here for the CE bill. Like, you know, we really want all the MPs to sign the climate and ecological emergency bill. I can't remember what else. We came here to disrupt business as usual, and we did it. And after my speech, which has been terrible, I'm sorry, but everyone's free to leave. So, yeah.
There we go,
So slightly impromptu ending there, but we're all going to head back now to camp near the City Hall. I think have a well-deserved cup of tea, bit of regen, and have a think about what we're going to do tomorrow. But not just tomorrow. So tomorrow's our last day here in Cardiff. And a good few of us then are going to head on to both HS2 for a few days and then London, which we imagine is going to be a lot more charged than things happen here in Cardiff. So big love to you all watching back in Bristol and elsewhere. Keep on getting in contact with your local MP to get their support for the CEE bill. We've got a crowdfunder going on, which would be brilliant if you've got a few spare coins and you're at home, you can have anything to spare. And yeah, keep on sending love to those guys in London and Manchester as well. We've really been feeling it here. So have a brilliant weekend ahead, and hopefully see some of you guys out on the streets. Bye for now.
Family, to your friends and all who you inspired. I don't feel that a minute's silence somehow is befitting for David Graeber. I want to say his name. David Graeber! David Graeber! David Graeber! David Graeber!
David Graeber!
Thank you. So, I come from South Emsall in West Yorkshire. It's on the border of South and West Yorkshire, actually. It's a mining community. You might know my dad was a coal miner. It's full of power stations for all the coal. There's burnt much coal over the years. It's not a very beautiful place, in all honesty, although I consider it my spiritual home. There's a woodland there that kept me sane as a young person. It's called Howell Woods. Howell Woods. It's full of beautiful yew trees, and it's full of oak trees and pine trees. I've been up to all sorts in that woods, I can tell you, over the years. I went there the night before my A-levels were due because I was nervous about them, hearing about them. One time, but I did want to take a new boyfriend straight home because I had some other activities to get up to, and we pulled into that car park, and you know, frankly, we were getting down to some cheeky people came in with their car and shone them right into the car. And they came over. I thought, you know, I was giving it like this. It was the police. And on another occasion, me and my first husband, we decided to camp there so we could wake up in nature and get down to a bit. I'm trying to be a bit circumspect. There's some children around, but you know what I'm talking about. And there was all these little piles of kind of odd bits of nature, like sort of, we didn't really understand what they were for. They seemed a little bit surreal, these sort of lumps everywhere. Anyway, we thought we'd ignore it, and we put up our tents, and sure enough, in the morning, we woke up and started having a bit of fun. And then there was this guy with this like really weird costume on, and we heard this noise that went kind of, shut him, shut him. We were right in the middle of the archery range, it turned out. I've got a lot of good memories of that woodland. It's nearly a spit roasting in reality. And I'd already been appalled about HS2 and was already actively campaigning when I heard that Howell Woods is on that list. And it really became personal. It really became personal. It was like a shock to my body. It was as if they told me that they were going to be murdering my family, because it is that they are murdering my family when they're taking down trees that we have such a deep and intimate connection to. When we think about the destruction of our ancient woodlands, for me it's not a calculation of the mind about the decimation of nature or the loss of species. It's a deep rage and grief at the senseless murder of these beautiful species, of our beautiful ancestors, our trees. And I want to honour March, right? Afternoon March, if you're there. Maybe sleeping. Where were those communities? I'm just hearing from Covington Woods, whose beautiful ancient pear tree is due to be cut down, is due to be felled soon, sharing your deep sense of rage and loss. And for our tree protectors, I can't imagine what it's like to live and commune with these gorgeous creatures and then have to watch it be felled. I really thank you from the bottom of my heart for your willing to step forward in that way to protect, for your willing to face the heartbreak of these times, of this mad, destructive, horrendous project. Thank you. also deep gratitude and condolence and love to those losing their homes and their businesses, to the loss that's already happened. HS2 is a project you can hate on so many levels. You can come at it from so many different angles and see that it's utter madness. A stupid vanity project, one of those real snouts in the trough type of project, tax dodging companies, corruption at all levels. Lord Barclay was the deputy chair of the Ochre Review, and he said that the budget was going to be over 100 billion, not the 88 billion that was being spoken of, and the original was 34 billion. That the figures were being manipulated. He thought about writing his own report. He was so disgusted. Quite recently, £9 million was just written off in the accounting of this project.
9 billion. 9 billion.
9 billion. Thank you. Thank you. This is the biggest. Sorry. Corrections. Very welcome. Thank you. This is the biggest deforestation since World War I, damaging or destroying over 100 ancient woodlands and 700 sites of scientific interest, risking the aquifers that provide London's water, destroying and damaging chalk rivers of the Chilterns that are precious and unique, favouring the economy of London at a time when we desperately need to localise our economic system. It's an aviation service for those who can afford elevated and frankly, subsidised fares. It's not to get people off the roads, it's to get more people into aeroplanes. Boris celebrated it for how you could get faster to Birmingham Airport than Heathrow in a taxi. So it's just basically the displacement of Heathrow's third runway. And there's already been of order 500 million, correct, yeah, right, of so-called investment into Birmingham Airport off the back of this project. I was so incensed and outraged at this crime, both against nature and against humanity, because what happens here, the destruction of our Amazon, has repercussions across the world for the amount of carbon emissions that it is and will create. And so I took my own action at the Department for Transport, which was breaking one pane of glass in the spirit and tradition of both the Chartists and the suffragettes, an action that could see me jailed for up to a year. I'm in court at the end of October unless it gets budged on. And I did that because I want my days in court to say that this is one window pane compared to a department that is responsible for the deaths of thousands in this country of air pollution. They've been found guilty 3 times, the British government, for breaking air pollution rules. And it should really be renamed the DFT, the Department for Trashing the Net Zero target, because there's no way we're going to meet the Net Zero target of 2050, which obviously is a nonsense target anyway. This project is going to be many, many decades before it's so-called Net Zero. Wanting to really honour and also represent Ecocide law today. Thank you, Ecocide folks there, for showing up. Jojo Mater was due to speak and couldn't for family reasons. Really still grieving the loss of our Polly Higgins as well. This project is the kind of project that would be tried under an international law of ecocide for the damage and mass destruction that it would be creating with no reasonable justification. The hubris of the corrupt domination paradigm we live in says that we can just keep taking and destroying without impact. It's a nonsense and we all know it, and we all can contribute to the resistance to this project. And I know that after the speeches, we'll be going to visit other HS2 protectors in Euston Square. Euston Gardens. So my gratitude to those on the front line. I know that camps can be hard places to be, and I really ask you to take care of yourselves. And I don't mean to be a patronising adult, grown-up, whatever, older person, but especially young folks, please be mindful of burnout and some of the energies that goes off around camps. It really needs some self-compassion and self-care to keep the resilience and the togetherness. And I really wish everybody who's suffered trauma on those camps at the hands of the abuse and violence from the privately hired security of HS2. I mean, what shame on that project for doing that to our protectors. Really wishing you recovery from the traumas that you've endured at their hands. And I really send the biggest prayers for protection for our protectors. A person's rope was cut and they've fallen great height, and that's happened before in other forest protection camps. At Hambacker Forest, it led to the death of a protector. You know, people are really putting their lives on the line here. I want to thank and honour the beauty of the activists that brought a felled tree trunk outside one of the departments responsible for this activity, and thank them for this lock-on to a tree which was utterly beautiful. Thank you. So I'd just like to take a moment's silence to mourn for what we're losing, and for all of us, in whatever way we can, to recommitting to protecting life on Earth. Thank you.
If you don't know, this is Gail Bradbrook speaking.
Direct mixing in the background, yeah.
So there's many attacks on our democracy. I mean, could you imagine that speaking outside what's supposed to be the mother of all parliaments could in some way be an act that should be criminalised? I mean, what madness. Of course not. We must stand here and talk about the things that we care about. And so, well, why don't you, actually? Okay. So, handing back to Elizabeth.
Thank you, Gail. And as Gail spoke of our incredible tree protectors, we have camps all up the HS2 line, from Euston, which is our latest one, all the way up to Crackley Woods in Warwickshire, with more forming all the time. And if I can invite one of the most inspirational young people I've met in a long time, and one of our very valiant tree protectors, Jelly Tots.
Hi, I'm Jelly Tot, and I'm absolutely terrified. I did write down a few things to say, but I think I'm a bit too nervous to say most of it. I've been involved in this campaign for the last year. I've been involved in this for about a year, which has been a mixture of full-time occupations, which we're just talking about the camps we have, which is basically just setting up camps, living and existing in the way of HS2, as well as actions, outreach and rallies like this, which I've never spoke at. Thank you. Yeah, I'm a lot more comfortable running around fields being chased by bailiffs and police and climbing on things than I am speaking in front of people. But I think I do want to just mention how effective what we've been doing is on a day-to-day basis, even just existing in the way. We have had an incredible impact. We have on some occasions, just by being in the Harbour Road area, we have delayed work by up to 12 months in some areas. Yeah, as Gail was saying, sometimes it is hard on camps. For example, over winter, we sometimes got down to having maybe 3 or 4 people on site, so it is nice to know that now there are this many people that can come and help. I did want to mention that the only way that this scheme is allowed to go ahead is not because people want it. It's not because it's this wonderful railway that's actually going to help anybody. If it was, there would be people lining up, waiting, wanting to be a part of this. The reason why this is able to go ahead is because people are struggling to survive. People have children to feed. Everybody stood on a gate. Everybody doing the work. They have no other choice. I was speaking to somebody guarding a gate the other day. He said the only reason why he was there, why he got that job, was because his children started asking when they were next going to be able to eat. I've spoken to, in my year of doing this, a lot of people doing security, doing the work, and I'd say about 99% of them working for this project either don't want it or have no idea what it's about. Which just proves that they're fully aware that it's not going to help them. Their children won't be able to afford it. They know that it's bad, but what other choice do they have? They have bills to pay, they have children to feed, they have loved ones to take care of. And that is why this project is able to go ahead as it is. I'm going to stop in a minute, but I suppose I just wanted to say that HS2 and the government have applied to send me to prison in 2 weeks for actions against HS2, specifically alleged breaches of injunctions which they have got more and more of recently, which are basically there to prevent lawful protest. They are there to essentially make trespass illegal, to stop us being able to witness what they're doing, to stop us being able to film, to be able to witness potential wildlife crimes they're committing, and call the police and report those things. I think that might be about it.
Well done, Johnny Tom.
Thank you. And I look forward to seeing everybody at a camp soon.
We love you! We love you! We love you! And everybody on the front lines of the climate emergency, because the HS2 campaign really is the front line of the fight against ecocide in the UK, and everybody protecting the camps does an incredible job. And one of the things that incenses me about this project is it was conceived of so long ago, and everything has changed since then. We have a declaration of climate emergency, we've had a pandemic, and here to talk about HS2 in a post-pandemic climate is Rupert Reed. Please welcome him to the point.
Thank you. But before I start, let's have another word of thanks for the amazing Jelly Tot. We love you! We love you! We love you!
We love you!
What a damn hero. You too can be like him. Ben. So, HS2, why am I against it? Well, look, the way I see things, when you're in a hole, stop digging. I guess that's why they call me a crazy radical in a society like this one. Because what we believe in Extinction Rebellion is stop making things worse. Yeah? Stop expanding airports. Stop building roads. And stop crazy, extreme, mega expensive schemes like HS2. Especially given the fact that, as we've just heard, everything has changed since this scheme was created. Does it make any sense at all to put through a scheme like HS2 in a post-coronavirus age? No. So that's what I want to talk about for a minute. Now, you can just about imagine a context in which HS2 makes sense. A context in which you don't really mind about going carbon net zero until 2070, 2080, 2090. A context in which it's a good idea to have more rail journeys and more commuting between London and Birmingham. But that context is a context which has long gone. The actual context we face is one in which, as Extinction Rebellion says, we need in countries like this one to stop ecosystem destruction completely and to stop carbon emissions completely by 2025. Now HS2 won't even be built by then, so how can it possibly make any sense? And this is why, of course, we've got our climate and ecological emergency bill going through, which would say, let's have a citizens' assembly to decide how we get to those net zeros by 2025. But, and that bill is absolutely right, of course, and let's all get behind it. But let's be frank, what are the chances of that bill actually passing in this Parliament, which declared a climate and ecological emergency, but is not willing, it seems clear, to do the things that are necessary to make that declaration into a reality? What are the chances of our bill passing in a Parliament that is dominated by Conservative MPs in the worst government we've had in our whole lifetimes? Yeah, they're approximately somewhere rather close to zero. That's the bitter truth. The bitter reality is that as things stand, we're not going to win outright. And we're not standing here because we believe that we're going to win outright. We're standing here because it's the right thing to do anyway. Yeah? And we're standing here to say that despite the unpropitious circumstances, this is the moment at which we have to stand up and be counted. Because this is about our last chance to get things right. Why is it our last chance? It's our last chance because these opportunities to reset our priorities completely, such as is being offered by the coronavirus pandemic and its aftermath, they do not come along very often. The last one was in 2008, that's over a decade ago. We don't have another decade to wait around for the next one. We have to try now. And that's why we're here, yeah? And what's more, the terrible reality is that this last chance is already in the course of being missed. Read Donica McCarthy's excellent columns in The Independent. This government is already bailing out the same old industries and trying to expensive infrastructure project in the whole world by some reckonings. So, the reason why the struggle against HS2 is iconic is this. It marks a fork in the road. Down one fork you have the fantasy of net zero 2050, which will actually be 2060, 2070, 2080, never, basically. The fantasy of net zero 2050, the fantasy of a tech-heavy, industry-heavy future, the fantasy of basically carrying on the same way, but allegedly being able to decarbonise our economy. And on the other hand, you have the reality of the fact that we're going to have to use less energy in the future. The reality of the fact that we have to adapt as well as mitigate. The reality that we have to transform because the future is going to be more local, the future is going to be more low carbon, the future is going to be kinder to nature, whether we like it or not. It's either going to be that way because as a society we choose voluntarily to make it that way, or it's going to be that way because our society collapses and nature forces that kind of future on us. So HS2 marks this fork in the road. Either you choose the fantasy of trying to carry on as we are and throw vast amounts of money that we don't have at a scheme that we don't need, using technologies that will be highly damaging, or you face up to reality and you face up to the government and you face down that corporation and those diggers and you say, no, we're not going to go down that road because we have to go down the road of mitigation and transformative adaptation. We have to go down the road of a more local future in which we're not going to have more people commuting from London to Birmingham, but we're going to live more locally. We're going to grow more of our food locally. That is the future. Future that is coming, whether they like it or not, and whether we like it or not. The role that we can play is to stand here and say how the future should be, and the role that we can play is to stand in the way of this pseudo-future that is represented by HS2. Let's do it!
Thank you, Rupert. And if you do stand in the way, there's a slim chance, as Jelly Tot alluded to, that you might need some legal representation at some point. And if you do, the person we call is Mr. Paul Powsland from XR Lawyers. Yeah. He didn't want a big send-up, so we had to give him a really big send-up. We just wanted like it to come in all low-key. Thank you, Paul.
Hi, everyone. Just come straight from a Lawyers for XR Action, where I did my first criminal XR action. We blocked the road, but I didn't get nicked, so I'm able to come and speak to you here. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you about all of the appalling consequences that HS2 are going to have on our wildlife, on our countryside. You've heard it before and you'll hear it from many other speakers here today. I'm going to talk to you about the impact that HS2 has on our rule of law and on democracy and fairness in this country. Because I've sat many times in the High Court making these submissions and largely been ignored, so it's nice to have an audience that might actually listen to them. I'll try not to bore you with the law too much, but basically, in this country there's a distinction between civil and criminal law. So criminal law is made by Parliament, and basically that means, you know, if you sit in the road, you get done for obstruction. If you trespass, you get done for aggravated trespass. And Parliament decides, our representative decides, what punishment you get for that. But HS2, like many different corporations that want to destroy the earth, don't think that the criminal law is good enough for them. They don't think people should just get fined for blocking the road or fined for aggravated trespass. They want something more. So what they do is they go to the High Court with a truckload of money to buy expensive lawyers, and then they apply for an injunction. And the effect of that injunction is that it makes things like blocking the road, trespassing, things that might not even be criminal, into quite serious matters where people can be put in jail for up to 2 years and have their homes and assets seized. It's an appalling overreach of the democratic system, whereby they've said that what Parliament has given is not good enough for them, and they want harsher punishment. And we actually saw earlier on, I believe, one of the brave protectors up here, Jelly Tot, who has actually been in court for contempt and might be in prison for that. Hopefully not going to be. We'll see. Now, I want to talk to you briefly how this has come about. Because the law that allows judges to grant injunctions was made back in 1981. And that law says, Parliament said that judges can make injunctions where it appears just and convenient to do so. Just and convenient. Now, it may not surprise you to learn that our judges and our legal system, imbued with the spirit of capitalism, property rights and environmental destruction, where they found it just and convenient to make injunctions. Have they found it just and convenient to make injunctions to stop water companies pouring shit into our rivers? No, they have not. Have they found it just and convenient to make injunctions to stop trees being destroyed, to stop litter being poured into our countryside, or to stop the catastrophic climate change that we know may well destroy our civilization this century? No, they have not found it just and convenient. Surprisingly, they found it just and convenient to make injunctions to prohibit environmental protest, to punish it harshly, and to affirm property rights and the rights of companies to destroy nature. Funny that, isn't it? I and a number of other radical lawyers I know, so in Lawyers for XR and Lawyers for Nature, we are trying our best to fight this in the courts as best as possible. We had another judgment out today in relation to the HS2 protesters at Denham. Some good parts, quite a lot of it not. You can read about it in The Guardian, it's on the main page at the moment. We're trying our best, but we know... We know that this system and the ecocide that we see in schemes like HS2 and more widely with the climate and ecological crisis will not be solved in the courts and through the legal system. And therefore, and you said thank you to me, I really want to express my thanks to you and to all of the anti-HS2 activists who put in so much, pour so much of their lives and energy into opposing this scheme. Because we know ultimately that lawyers can try their best, but this will ultimately be won on the streets and through peaceful direct action and protest. So I salute all of you that do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Now in a moment we're going to hear from some of our incredible protectors in the trees, but hang on, I think I can hear a train coming. Can I hear a train coming? Can I hear a train coming? Choo-choo! Choo-choo! I think Boris the Bank Engine is on its way. Uh-oh! Here we go. Look out, Boris the Bank Engine, the most expensive train you'll ever come across. Boris.
Hello guys, how are you doing? There's obviously some amazing speakers today, and it's lovely to see Elliot here, who I'm sure has told you the things he's experienced. We are coming on a slightly different note. We're going to actually read you a bedtime story. So I'm just sort of making you aware, that the mood changed slightly, but it will go back to where it was. I think it's useful to make that transition, so you don't expect this to be deadly serious, because it really won't be. Okay, so we created an action called Boris the Bank Engine. I'm Boris at the front, and you might see behind us we've got the rest of the Bank Engine, which is behind some of our lovely people up here. You're very welcome to join us later on. And Marion from the Bank Engine has crafted a really lovely bedtime story for children, based on Thomas the Tank Engine and containing some HS2 facts, because it's never too late to laugh at a project that is this ridiculous. So, we're going to read it together. This is Elspeth, everyone. Elspeth. Okay, are you sitting comfortably? Yes. Then I'll begin. It was night time. Thomas the Tank Engine and some of his friends were in the shed.
You look upset, Thomas,
said Toby.
What's the matter?
It's just not right what they're doing, Thomas explained. They're chopping down all those trees. Sorry. Can you hear us? Yes. Yes. Can you hear us? Yes. We're going to shout into the microphone. Here we go. Thomas said, it's just not right what they're doing. They're chopping down all these trees on my route. I met a bird today who was so upset. She just had her nest full of eggs ready to hatch, and they chopped down the tree.
It's true,
added Addie.
People in the village are saying the aquifer is polluted because they're drilling and they can't drink the water anymore. But they don't realise, because the company doing it have spent $250,000 on an education programme for schools about why the works are important.
Toby was horrified. Why would they do such a thing?
Haven't you heard?
Said Percy.
It's all for the new fast line. Boris, the fat controller, is spending stacks of money on it.
That was stacks of money on it.
It was. More than they ever did on ours,
grunted Gordon. It's not just birds' nests, Thomas mourned. So many animals live in those woods. Bats, badgers, rare butterflies. The trees make the air cleaner too.
Which is kind of important because Boris still insists on us running off coal.
That was running off coal. Grumbled Gordon. It can't go on, it's got to stop, spluttered James.
But how's that going to happen? When humans try to stop it, they just get arrested!
Daisy objected. Well, it can't go on, it's got to stop, spluttered James.
That's right! That's what we'll do! I'm in!
Came from across the shed. So, next morning, Thomas's driver came to get him.
Good morning, Thomas.
The driver said.
We've got an important job to do this morning.
Incoming! I'm staying here. I'm not moving, Thomas said. Keep it going, everyone. Stay calm. They can't shut down a bedtime story. We'll keep it going. So, don't be daft, Thomas, said his driver, amazed. You've got to get to work.
Everyone sit down,
Right track! We're going to continue our bedtime story!
Gentle! Sit down!
If you'd like to help! Have a seat and listen to the bedtime story!
Have a seat to the bedtime story. Let's sit down.
Let's sit down!
Let's sit down. Okay.
Create some space! So we can maintain safe social distance and enjoy the rest of the bedtime story!
Next morning.
This could be very long if we do it this way. But we'll try our best.
Okay. Next morning, Thomas's driver came to get him.
Next morning,
Thomas's driver came to get him.
Good morning, Thomas. We've got an important job to do this morning.
Good morning, Thomas. We've got an important job to do.
I'm staying here. I'm not moving.
I'm staying here. I'm not moving.
Thomas said firmly.
Thomas said firmly.
Don't be daft, Thomas.
Don't be daft, Thomas.
Said his driver, amazed.
Said the driver, amazed.
You've got to go to work.
You've got to go to work.
Boris, the fat controller, will be so angry. Boris, the fat
Controller will be so angry.
Let him be.
Let him be.
Snorted Daisy.
Snorted Daisy.
There's no point in us working if we're helping him carry out business as usual. Good luck with that one.
There's no point in him working if we're helping him carry out business as usual.
Work out for the sound system.
It's got to be the same. What do you mean? What do you mean?
Ask the driver.
Ask the driver.
All the engines told him about the trees and the birds and the animals.
We're back online. Here we go. Are you enjoying the bedtime story?
The police have confiscated the PA system and just created this
All the
cordon.
engines told him about the trees and the birds.
We're inside a cordon. I hadn't realised. We're about to get nicked.
You're right, said Thomas's driver. We must get him to stop it. I'll call a meeting of all the drivers and explain we'll go on strike till Boris, the fat controller, stops spending money on this stupid fast line.
So that's the microphone just being taken. We're having a bedtime story.
Shame on you!
Shame
on you!
Freedom of speech! Freedom of speech! Freedom of speech! Freedom of speech! Wait, give it a second. Let the mic run for a second if it goes. If it's neutral. We have
another megaphone.
Another megaphone.
In the tree.
In the tree. Let's hear from a 22-year-old
Newbury tree protector.
Newbury tree protector.
Who's been at the camps?
He's been at the camps.
Saving our woodlands.
Saving our woodlands.
Athena.
Athena.
You can't draw the policeman up.
Go for it.
Wow, this is really scary. Public speaking makes me nervous. I'm just going to let you all know that. You guys are so supportive. It's really amazing. I guess you understand why we're all here. Raising awareness. To get you all involved in the anti-haters You said it all in your speeches, how corrupt this company is, and the very fact that this project has been given the go-ahead is a perfect example of how much corruption is in this society and all over the world, and why we need system change. As earth dwellers, we all have responsibility to look after our nature, to do what's right, to stand up against a company.
Equals ecocide. They just
Let's all show some massive love and support from here.
Hooray!
So like all of us on the front line of the nation, he's not doing this for the glory. He's quite far from it. He's rather quietly up the tree and doing that thing. But it's great. Not only is he just learned to fly.
Oh, it's large. Hang on. Go back. Go back.
And just learned to rig ways, tie the knots and everything. She's also now just stepping up to public speak. All of which.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Can you hear me now? Yes! Okay, thanks. So, not only has Athena just learned to climb, to tie the knots, to deal with height, she's also now just stepping up to speak in public. So these earth protectors, these frontline earth protectors on the front line of the HS2 battle against ecocide, we're all stepping up in service. Despite what we'd rather be quietly at home, we're all called to be on the front line at this time. in solidarity with those on the front line around the world, our brothers and sisters around the world, and this eco-crime that is happening in front of us, the climate and ecological emergency. So each of us has our part to play in this. If together we will stop HS2. So HS2 is going to stop. It's a completely unviable scheme. There's no way in the unfolding of the climate and ecological emergency that over the next few years we'll continue to think it's a good idea.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed watching this live stream with this brave rebel, and perhaps we'll come back shortly if anything changes. Do you want to say goodbye to the nation? Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed watching this live stream with this brave rebel, and perhaps we'll come back shortly if anything changes. Do you want to say goodbye to the nation? Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed watching this live stream with this brave rebel, and perhaps we'll come back shortly if anything changes. Do you want to say goodbye to the nation?
family, to your friends.
Hey, well done, Jenny.
I'm going to do a call and response to just make sure you can hear my voice. So when I say climate, you say justice. Climate! Justice! Climate! Justice! When I say climate, you say justice. Climate! Justice! Climate! Justice! Power to the people!
Power to the people!
People got the power!
People got the power!
Tell me, can you hear it?
Tell me, can you hear it?
Stronger by the hour!
Getting stronger by the hour!
Power!
Power!
People!
People!
Power!
Power! People!
Okay, so what we need to do today is also remember the people that are not in this space. We need to think about the marginalized communities that we know capitalism, that we know society injustice affects us on a daily basis. We need to think about the marginalized community.
We need to think about the marginalized communities.
I need you to think about black lives.
I need you to think about black lives.
I need you to become better allies.
I need you
Hi, I'm here at Lloyd's of London as part of the Walk of Shame March. I'm here with lots of lovely rebels and we're all here to support a chap who's about to be arrested by the police, perhaps taken away. He's attached himself to the bank and he's also put up a blue plaque. So what I'm going to do is quickly just switch my camera around so you can have a look and see what's going on here, everyone. So here we go. We've walked all the way from Brighton. Everyone thinks we're completely mad. Do we need to stop? Right? Do we need to stop? Or they keep going? Okay. Go round. I think they think you need to stop. Well, we've got a police car has stopped us, but they don't want us to stop. Not quite sure what's going on there. Hi guys! Liberty, how far left on the trip? Well, we're going to get to Brixton today. I think it's Vauxhall Pleasure Gardens tomorrow, and then we're not quite sure. It's down to the people to decide from the crew, and circumstances keep changing every day. So keep following this this channel, and we'll do our best to keep you informed. Probably best thing is to follow us on Twitter or Instagram. And yes, of course, we're saying hi to people because that is the most important thing. Hi, sir. Hi. One second. Thank you very much. So, if anyone has any more questions, I'll do my best to answer. Hang on one second. Yes. Hashtag Lightship Greta, that's exactly right, Ray. And it's just at Lightship as we're filming, the police are filming too, and they're all of them filming us with their best cameras. But we are within our rights here to film this.
Feeling alright? How's that arm?
Yeah, getting the blood back.
Yeah.
So at the moment, the rest of our march has carried on around London, and I suspect there may be similar blue plaques having been placed or being placed elsewhere. I don't know about that. That cannot be ascertained.
Hello, madam. Hi, guys. It's getting waves from inside the shops too. What do people on the street think? Oh, we've got a lot of positivity. So much smiling, I can't tell you. Some people don't know what we're doing. We're doing our best to explain though. Hi guys. Go through past the shop. Hiya. Share it at Lightship Greta. Okay? You're welcome. And lots of people say thank you. Not sure if we're going to go through Brixton High Street, but if we are, I'm really looking forward to it. Hi guys! Hi! It's amazing how people's places. Hello! So we're on Streatham High Street. Come and join us if you want to. Here we are, there's Greta. Those four pushing, pulling. And then there's 5 pushing. And that's been the way. Going over the North Downs yesterday.
Lightship Greta!
Yeah, going over the North Downs, that was challenging. And but they did it. So many trees. Hello, sir. Well done, you're amazing. Of course it's quite hairy because some cars get very angry. There's a big lorry overtaking, as you can see. So there's lots of briefing. Hi guys! Hello! Hi! Yes, everybody is very tired. Need to tell a story about what happened last night. It was dark, or getting dark, about 7:50. Hi guys! We were, it was raining. We were about 3 miles away from where we needed to go, going up a very steep hill. And we pulled over just to regroup for a bit. Someone had the idea to go and ask where we'd into the driveway because it looked like there was space there. So we went, and actually it turned out to be travelling people who had some mobile phones and some space. And when we asked them, they said, well, we don't see why not. You're welcome to stay as long as you like. You can have a light a fire here. You can park Greta there safely. You can use our electricity and our toilet, and you can stay as many nights as you like, because we know what it's like to arrive somewhere and not have somewhere for the night. It was amazing. Everybody cheered when they heard, and it absolutely was exactly what we needed. So we feel really blessed, and everyone was in much better cheer today, because we'd also had some quite heavy-handed policing where we've been told we were all going to get arrested if we came within the M25.
But look, we're here, and Streatham High Street, when I last checked, is well within the M25. She's got a section 12 put on her, but luckily, which means there are some places we're not allowed in London, Parliament Square being one of them, of course, but luckily, we're not going there, so that's fine, and we're happy. Thanks guys, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, sweethearts. Children. Hi. Hi. So stories like that are just amazing. How many miles is this from Brighton? Probably 50, 60 miles. We've done about 10 miles a day, and going over the downs was pretty hard work. Lots of people watching. Hi! Thank you! As you can see, we're even getting clapped. Hi!
Hashtag Lightship Greta all the way from Brighton.
We've walked all the way from Brighton. Lots of blisters and sore feet. They've pulled it, so she weighs a ton. And our numbers are growing, so come and join us. Spread the word. Streatham High Street, just by, is that Streatham Station? Yes, Streatham Hill Station. It's Streatham, we're just going past Streatham Hill Station. No, I don't think the rebellion will be televised. I think you needed to share this feed for certain. Share, share, share.
We need to do something about it.
Got a lovely doggy here.
We want you to take notice.
Yeah. You know, we've come all the way from Brighton.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I just come to the end of my road.
Yeah, lovely.
Now my cheeky.
And we're at traffic lights, which we haven't been looking at recently, but off we go again. Hi guys! Oh, we got some nice fingers up. I don't think they really mean it. There's some smiles as well. Let's just see as people come through. Here we go. Our Insta and our Twitter accounts, and you'll find lots more information there, and you can share with people smiling. Hi guys! Hello! Hi! 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 Hope everyone picks up again. Oh, sorry guys, I lost you. Not great signal here. Hope everyone picks up again. Yeah. Times drops. Oh, sorry, I put my hand in the way. Hiya. That. Sorry for the horrible sight just then. Yeah, sorry I keep losing you. There's a message from... So yes, you are... You think of you that message from Ray, absolutely. If you can't come to the rebellion, then you can support in so many different ways, and one of them is sharing this video and talking about what we're talking about. Hello! Hi guys! Just taking my cardigan off, sorry, it's getting quite hot. I might jiggle a bit. Hiya! Sorry, just taking my cardi off. Okay, cardi's off. Oh, wrong way, sorry. Sorry everyone. No, it's not wrong way, that's better. Oh, phew, I was getting very hot. Actually just almost melting. Right, back now with you. I think it's kind of opening out. We're on Streatham Hill now. I have a feeling that means we go downhill soon, which is kind of easy, but not that easy, because obviously we have to make sure we don't let go of her. Because if we did, that would be a bit of a disaster. And it's going to get a bit busier and a bit quieter. And I think after that, let me just see what the signs say is coming up. We go into East Dulwich and then towards Brixton. Still quite a long way to go today, and everybody is very, very tired now. I think they've had 6 or 7 nights sleeping out. Some people are going away and coming back, but the majority are actually staying with Greta all the way through. Lots of real diehards, and I'll do an interview with some of the people in a second but I might take an opportunity to do that now. Would anybody here like to have a quick word with South East Facebook to explain why they're here? Yeah? Hi.
Hello.
What's your name?
Jim.
Hi Jim, nice to meet you. So why are you here?
I'm here because I've got 2 sons.
Yeah.
I want them to grow up in a
safe and just and fair and sustainable world.
Great. I think that's probably what a lot of us feel. and the funny thing is, that's what everybody's going to want, really, isn't it? But they just don't necessarily know that that's not what's on the cards.
Yeah, the thing is, if we do nothing, that's not what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So we need to raise the alarm, we need to bang a drum,
yeah.
We need to act now, and we need to change the system so that does happen.
Absolutely. Where have you come from?
I come from Brighton.
Brighton, okay, great. Well done. Are you going to stick with the rest of the day, or the rest of the journey?
Tonight, so
okay.
I can.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Really, really appreciate it. Nice to meet you, Jim. Okay, I'm going to go on to somebody else. Anybody else like to have a word about, say, to the Facebook page why they're here? Anybody want to say why they're here? Yeah. Yeah. Hi. What's your name?
I'm Lizzie.
Hi, Lizzie. Nice to meet you. Where are you from?
From Brighton.
Okay, great.
I'm here mainly because of my kids.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
1 minute. I want to live stream.
Want to live stream?
Yeah, I'm live streaming.
It's all happening. We've got a motorbike alarm going off. We've got a shoe with a man in it and a foot with a man in it. We're going to go going up this road. So what I'm going to do is, I think this is a real triumphant ending. I'm going to finish now, everybody. I'm going to say thank you very much for watching. Here goes Greta. Oh no, maybe she's going to keep going along actually. Sorry, I thought we were just turning off for the night. But I'm going to finish anyway because I'm not entirely sure if this really is recording or going out live.